Okay, there we go. Okay, Adam, the floor is yours. Everybody sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy.
Thank you very much for the kind words of intro. I want to clarify to a couple of people. First off, I don't want you to sit back and relax. I want you to get involved. I want to engage. The more people I even see on camera, the better. I feed off the energy. I hope you guys can all see my screen. And then I just want to clarify one point that event over the summer, the crowd was glued, I guess we said was magnetized, but there was also alcohol at that event. So take with that as you may. No, but we're here to have some fun. We're here to really, really help. That's what I love to do. It's what I'm driven by. I'm really, really excited to share some stuff with you guys today that'll hopefully help you figure out where you want to take your businesses into the future. So my name is Adam Goldschmidt. As Rabbi Wordy said, I am a certified EOS implementer. What that means, the EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. I'll talk a little bit more about myself in a little bit, but we essentially help entrepreneurs get what they want out of their business. And even before I started doing this, it was really kind of what I've been doing my whole life. I have about 20 years experience in tech industries and running various agencies, working with entrepreneurial organizations, launching websites and things like that. So I've been able to leverage that into this new venture that I've got, which is really, really a lot of fun. It's not so new anymore, but new relative to those things. So welcome. I'm really, really excited to meet everybody here today. Let me just make sure I am clicking right. Okay, excellent. So real quickly, I want to just go over the various sessions that we're going to be having. We're going to be doing this for 4 weeks in a row. So same bat time, same bat channel, and next week and the week after and the week after. So today is week 1. Today, we're going to focus specifically on vision and goals. Setting the right targets for our organization. We'll obviously spend a lot more time talking about that. Next week, we'll be focusing on how to get the right people in the right seats. And I realize that there's a lot of people here who might be solopreneurs, self-employed, where you're the only person in the organization. But at the same time, we still have supporting staff. We still might want to grow beyond that. We have people that we want to bring into our organization. And then there's also the ways that we want to process our business. So we're going to talk a little bit about that next week. Following week, week 3, we're going to focus in on processes and data and how we can build scalable organizations that are run based on facts and figures, not egos and emotions. And then week 4, we're going to spin it to marketing and how we take some of this vision stuff that we're going to be talking about today. And once you've got the people and the processes, how we now take this to your market, how do you identify the right customers and give them the right message. Today's agenda is for a couple parts. First, I'll spend a little bit of time just giving you a little background on myself and how I got here. We'll then walk you through very, very quickly the entirety of the EOS model, just so that you have a little bit of better understanding of the full system that I typically would teach with the leadership team and how it works in the various areas of the business that we can help with. We'll then go into something called the 8 questions, and that's really going to be the driving force behind today's session, talking about the 8 questions every business, no matter how large you are, needs to ask yourself in order to set that strategic vision for the business. We're going to talk a little bit about how we can share that vision throughout our organizations, and then finally, we'll have some time at the end for questions and answers. And of course, if you have any questions during the middle of this presentation, please drop them in the chat, raise your hand. We would love to make this as interactive as possible. So let's jump right in. That's me, about Adam. That's my family. That's my wife and my 4 kids. I live in West Hempstead, New York. That's where I am today. I'm in an office here. I've been spending about the last 25 years helping entrepreneurs, believe it or not. I'm a pretty old guy at this point. But I come from the agency world. I started as, I actually did some stuff before that. But really, it's always been a passion of mine to help entrepreneurs. And even more so than helping the leadership teams that I work with within my EOS practice, something that I'm especially passionate about is helping and coaching young entrepreneurs, people who are just getting started, who really are just trying to figure things out and where they want to take their businesses. And it's something that I do as a passion. And it's the real reason why I'm here today. My purpose, the reason why I believe I exist, at least professionally, is that I like to inspire people. I want people to push themselves to greatness. And I want you to enjoy the ride with humor and fun. So hopefully we get some jokes out there today. Hopefully they're all appropriate. And then the way that I do my work, my niche, my specialty, so to speak, is teaching, facilitating, and coaching leadership teams with EOS. But of course, I'm able to help anybody with these tools. They really, really apply to everyone across the spectrum. So let's talk about EOS. Like I said earlier, EOS is known as the Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's a basic, simple, and full, complete set of tools that help entrepreneurs get what they want out of their business. My last stop before I actually started doing this, I was running an agency called Pixify, and I spent about 2 years trying to fix that business. I had been brought in 2 years after it was acquired by a larger parent company, and we were having a lot of problems, a lot of struggles. And I was introduced to this EOS framework. And somebody said, you should really give this a try. It'll help you figure out where are the distractions, what should you be focused on, and how do you build a compelling vision in a business. And it really changed everything. I took a business that was losing $500,000 at least every year for about 3 years in a row, flipped it on its head in 1 year. We were able to get it to the point where we did about $1 million in revenue with $500,000 in profit, doubled the size of the business the year after, doubled the size of the business the year after that. But when we think about EOS, it's about your business, and it's about getting your business really good at 3 things. Okay, the 3 things that we're going to talk about are vision, traction, and healthy. Vision, in the sense that everyone in your business knows who you are, where you're going, what it's going to take to get there, right? All of the various point Bs and objectives and goals that we have, that's the vision for our company. And we're going to spend a lot of time on that today. Traction is making that vision a reality. It's building a culture of accountability and discipline and structure where everyone's really executing that vision the way that you envisioned it, where that vision is not just a dream, it's actually the reality, and you're building the business that you want. And then finally, the third element is to do that in a healthy way. Simon Sinek has a very, very famous quote where he says, there is not a single study out there that shows that hypergrowth is good for business, right? Growth can be scary sometimes. It can be difficult sometimes. It could be something that has a lot of challenges. We want you to have fun in this process, right? When I talk about, like, we want to be smart and healthy. Smart, we want to be really good at the way that we do things and efficient with the way that we do things. But we also want to build a culture where we have fun, where we're cohesive, where we have people with predefined roles, expectations, where everyone's really just supporting each other and having that fun environment. Because a lot of times people in an organization, no matter how successful they are, don't really enjoy working together. So that's really what we focus on. So the EOS model starts, it's a model, and it begins with your business in the center of this model, right? And through this, any business, and I'm sure everybody here can relate with this, every single business under the sun, you could be a single person, you could be a large corporation. Every single business is dealing with, on average, 136 issues at any given point in time. But this finding and this discovery that I'm going to take you on through in the beginning part of this session is that, to the degree that an organization can strengthen just 6 components of the business, you can actually address all of those issues at their root. All 136 of those issues that are flying around, and the fires that you're going to put out, and the challenges that you're having, and the ideas that you need to discuss are all rooted in 6 components of your business. And EOS, the model, is geared towards strengthening those 6 components of the business. So the first component is the one that we're really, really going to focus on today, and that's the vision component. Within our model, we have 2 specific tools that we teach to make sure that that vision is clear and that it's being spread throughout the organization. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that today. Next week, we're going to talk about the people component, right? We want to make sure that if we have this compelling vision for the business and we want to grow and we want to achieve all these amazing things, we are going to need people around us to help us build that and grow. So we want to make sure that you're really strong with your people. And a lot of the issues companies have are related to people. The third part is data, right? We want to make sure that we're running this business on facts and figures, not egos and emotions, where we're making decisions based on patterns and trends and not just our gut feels, right? So that's the third component. And when you have great people and great data and great vision where you know exactly where you want to go, the natural result is that all of your issues now rise to the top, right? You're able to see where the opportunities are. And when we say issues, it's not just about problems, right? Issues can be ideas. Issues can be opportunities. It can be anything that you need to discuss, either with your advisory board or with your teams. So we want to get you really, really good at solving issues. That's the fourth component of the business. The fifth component is really how we scale organizations. It's our processes, right? And if any of us are single solopreneurs doing our thing, as we start to bring people in, we need to get people trained. We want to make things scalable. We want to make sure that people are doing things consistently, time and time again, those same activities and functions over and over again in the business. And that's ultimately what helps an organization grow when you have amazing, amazing processes. And then finally, the sixth component of the business is what we call that traction component, which is the execution phase. That's taking all of that vision, all of those places that we want to go and the things we want to be, and making them a reality. I always like to say, vision without traction is a hallucination, right? We want to be doers and actors. So the traction component is really important. And over the course of these next few weeks, we'll start to talk a little bit more about how we can gain some traction, and we'll talk about that a little bit more today, even. So, any questions so far? All good. All right. Sounds good. So this is the EOS model. The EOS model is geared towards strengthening these 6 components of your business. When we look at things on a scale from 0 to 100, most organizations are averaging about 20% strong in each of these components, right? If you're really, really perfect with your vision, you're 100% strong, right? That's what we mean by 100% strong. But most companies average around 20%, which is why most companies actually fail. Our goal within the EOS model, and really when we start to talk today, I want you guys to embrace this philosophy, is 80%, 80%, 80%, right? The finding is that we can get to a floor of 80% on each of these 6 components of the business. That's how you really, really start to grow. I always like to say great is often the enemy of good, right? And a lot of times we really, really push ourselves to be perfect and do things perfectly. But if we really want to grow fast, we have to get used to this concept of getting to 80%, which is really most of what we need to do, and focusing on the most important elements. So the same thing here with these components of the business. If we can get you to where each of these components is no lower than 80% strong, that's going to be the rocket fuel that takes your organization to the next level. All right. So today we are focused on vision, right? And like I said earlier, what we're going to focus in on right now is something that we call the 8 questions. Okay. These are 8 questions that you can ask yourself. And that obviously, if you have a coach or a friend or an advisory board, you should sit with your teams and you should answer these questions. And this is a tool to be able to answer these questions. And we're going to send this tool out to everybody after today's session is over, so you can start to do some work on this and start to build that compelling vision for your business. But when we look at these 8 questions, they're on a tool called what we call the Vision Traction Organizer. You can call it whatever you want. In our EOS world, we call it the Vision Traction Organizer. And what this is, it's a 2-page simplified approach to strategic planning, right? Simple is always good. Simple helps people understand things easier. If you're only answering 8 questions versus 80 questions, it's going to make that vision a lot more compelling, and it's going to be a lot more relatable. So first, real quick, I'm going to walk you through what the 8 questions are, and then we're going to take a step back and talk about each of those 8 questions, what it means to your business, and how you're going to want to look to answer those questions so that you can set the framework for how far you're going to grow your thing. Right? So those 8 questions, the first page of this document, we call the vision page, because this is the stuff that's a little bit off into the future. And we have our core values, our core focus, our 10-year target, our marketing strategy, and our 3-year picture. Again, we're going to give a lot more detail on this to come soon. And then the second page of this document is called the traction page, because this is where the things are happening in the here and now. The 3 questions on that page are, what's our 1-year plan, right? The plan for the current year. What are our rocks, which are our quarterly priorities that we'll spend some more time talking about? And then what is our issues list? What are the issues that exist in our business, the opportunities, the threats, the ideas that we still need to flesh out to get us to that next level? Anything that may be holding us back from accomplishing some of those bigger things that we've set out to do. So if we can answer these 8 questions clearly, we're going to know what is the vision for our business. So let's zoom in real quickly now on core values. And here's where we're going to get a little audience participation going here for a second. But what do you guys think your core values are? What does that mean to everybody in here? Feel free to unmute yourself if you're able to.
I could say something.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So I don't know if this is what you mean, but I kind of like to look at it as there's 2 core values, 2 sets of core values for me. 1 is what I bring to the table, and 2 is the type of customer that I look for.
Excellent. Very, very true. That's 100% true, right? The core values come from the individual. If we're a solopreneur, this is that's definitely related to us. And then there's things that we look for from a client fit, right? We'll talk about that a little bit more. Any other ideas? Any other thoughts on what we think core values are? I see somebody named Swirly Road, helping people. That may very well be what your core value is. That's important. When we talk about core values here,
Just I want to interject for 1 second. I see a lot of people
Sure.
are mostly they close their screens and they're muted. This is supposed to be interactive. Show yourself, join in, say some comments. The more interactive this is, the more you'll get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. More faces is better. Smiles especially are appreciated. So let's talk about this core values. I may have stumped you all on this one. Hopefully,
By the way, I'm sorry, Adam, and I apologize. I actually had a mind blank. I meant to do this, and I don't know if you want to do this, but would you want to run through and let everyone just introduce themselves very quickly for 10 seconds, like who they are and what they're doing? You want to?
Yeah, let's do that. You guys okay taking a quick little pause to do that? Okay, so let's go around the room. I don't have an order.
You take control. Just call out names as they're written on.
Sounds good. I'm going to call your name, and we're going to force you to talk right now. So this is how we build engagement effectively. Thank you.
But 10 seconds. Your name, your company, what you do, really, really fast.
Excellent. Sounds good. I didn't know how many people we'd have, so I didn't build this in. But Levi, you're the first person on my screen, Levi Goldfarb. So tell us a little bit about yourself. We know your name already.
Hey, Adam. My name is Levi Goldfarb. For those who aren't on a screen, I have a company, I'll Go Digital. I do email marketing, and I was at your table sober at the event. So I got the
Amazing.
first little bit of this.
Excellent. Well, that's actually more of session number 4, so you could skip that. No, I'm just kidding. Tova, we just heard from you, and you're next on my screen. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, Tova Zaidel. I live in California and I have a bookkeeping business.
Excellent. David Khan, I see you next on my screen.
It's my son's name actually, but my name is Dovber Khan.
Okay.
I do building home inspections, mold inspections, asbestos. And I live in Muncie area.
Amazing. Remind me to tell you guys about an event we're doing in the Muncie area at the end of today's session. Adam Alsberg, great name. What do you got? You're muted. We'll come back to you. Noach, I see you next on my screen.
Hi, my name is Noah Panish. I live in Passaic, New Jersey. I'm trying to actually do a specific real estate asset class of running and purchasing self-storage facilities.
Amazing. My brother lives there. You should say hi to him if you see him at the Aguda later. Mr. Shafigi.
Hello.
Is Mr. Shafigi there?
Hello.
Is that you? All right, we'll
He
get
just
back to
someone
you.
just wrote he has no mic or something. Okay.
Okay. Mendel Bergstein.
Can you hear me?
Now we do, yeah.
Okay, nice to meet you. Mendel Bergstein, I do design,
I'm sorry, what do you do? I didn't catch it.
graphic design.
Graphic design. Some of my favorite, most creative people. Simcha Wolf, are you with us?
He's done some nice work for CHYE, and also my brother Schneer that's on has also done.
Amazing.
Simcha Wolf. I run a specialty construction company servicing the entertainment industry in Los Angeles. Gone to some CHYE events out here.
Amazing. Welcome. Welcome to the East Coast. Adam Alsberg, are you? Did you figure out your mute situation yet, or not yet? Nah, maybe you'll just introduce yourself in the chat. Still having a hard time hearing you. Sima Suskind.
Hi, I'm Sima Susskind. I live in Morristown, New Jersey. I run something called Project Team, which is social emotional learning for preschool children through grade 2, and I help schools implement it.
Amazing.
Mhm.
And just to read out Adam's, in case anybody didn't see the chat, he's having some issues with his audio. He is building nocturnal software for people who cannot fall asleep easier. It's to create a nocturnal community as well as improve sleep habits. That's something I think we all can relate to. So download his software as soon as you possibly can. Eliao.
Eliao Pia, and I'm working on creating a luxury brand.
Excellent. What kind of luxury brand? Like clothing?
We spoke.
I remember, but I know that everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So jewelry and bags, mainly for everybody. Incorporating, putting some very expensive leather and actually gold.
Incredible.
Yep.
Schneer. Is it Schneer? That's how you pronounce it, right?
Schneer, yeah, very good. Almost. Schneer Werdy Shua's brother. I run a consumer product design studio based in Miami, Florida. So we design physical products from idea to manufacturing.
Amazing.
So part of the design space. Yep.
Thank you for that. Harlan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Excellent. This is great to be here. Thank you all very much. I am Harlan Schwartz. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm here to just learn about this process and see, just continue adding to my business knowledge and see what can be added, what can be implemented. Thank you guys so much for this.
Welcome from the Big Easy. Yossi Lipinski. Yossi, you with us? All right, we'll come back to you. I see
He says
Strully.
his mic is not working.
His
Yeah.
mic's not working. Okay, no problem. I see two Strullies, the one that's just plain Strully. And it looks like you're talking and we can't hear you either. You're not muted, but maybe just an issue with the mic.
How's this?
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, Sterling Lubovic. I'm looking to get into marketing and I wanted to see what I could learn here today. Appreciate it.
Amazing. You're welcome. Well, be careful what you wish for. No, I'm just kidding. Avi Sinensky, that name sounds familiar.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Avi. I'm a corporate and M&A lawyer. Here to just learn about the system and I guess figure out ways in which I can advise my own clients on how to improve their own businesses.
Amazing. Sruli Myhill. Is that one word or two or three?
Hey, it's supposed to be two. Surely Myhill is last name. Yeah, this is me and my colleague Sholi here. We both work right now. We're working on property management, so we're seeing if we could utilize this tool.
Amazing. Who have we not gotten to yet that has Zalmi Cohen? I see you there.
How are you? I just jumped on now. I'm not sure what I missed for the first few minutes, but I have an accounting firm servicing bookkeeping, fractional CFO services. So I'm eager to learn new things.
Thank you. Yeah, we're just introducing each other. We'll get you caught up in just a minute. I see somebody named Morak. I don't know if that's a first name, last name. Morak. All right, and I see Yussel Groner.
Hello, I have an affiliate marketing agency.
Amazing. We love affiliate marketing. Did I miss anybody? Going once, going twice. All right. So here, let's bring us back a little bit. Let's go back to the presentation. Thank you, Rabbi Werdy, for sharing that with me to make sure we did that, because it is important for us to get to know each other. I was actually hoping that we could all talk after this, so we'll figure that out afterwards. But let's talk about where we are so far. So we were talking about this concept of the vision for our organization, right? We're talking today about vision, goals, and how do we relay what the vision for the business is? How do we know who we are today, where we're going, what it's going to take to get there? And we talked about this document called the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer, which is an EOS tool. And if there's one thing you learn from this entire series is how to use this, because any business, no matter your size, can use these 8 questions to gain clarity on where you want to go. And the first 5 questions are on the first page called the vision. That's going to be our core values, our core focus, our 10-year target, our marketing strategy, and our 3-year picture. And then the second page is the traction page. That's the here and now. That's our 1-year plan, our quarterly rocks, and our issues list. And we're going to go through all of these questions in detail, starting with our core values. So core values, we started talking about a little bit, and we have personal core values, and we have core values maybe that we look for in our clients. When we talk about core values on this document, this is who we want to be as a business. This is the intentional culture that we're looking to build as a business. So when you think about a business that has core values, we usually look at 3 to 7. That's like our sweet spot, because if you have too many of these values, it's going to be very hard for everybody to remember them. And if it's too few, it's not going to be as meaningful. So we as an organization want to come up with 3 to 7 core values. And this is what we're going to use to guide how we operate our business. Our core values are going to be the behaviors that we look for in other employees that come into our organization. Core values definitely are things that we're going to want to match up with our customers, right? If our customers don't share our core values, it might not be so easy to work with them. And if we want to work with people that we can truly help, that could be a great filter. Our core values will also tell us how to behave and how we process issues in our organization, how we make decisions. So when we think about core values, there's some examples there on the right side of the screen from various companies of what they can be. And we're going to send this deck out after today so you can go back and reference it as much as you want. But when we think about core values, these are the 3 to 7 behaviors that we are going to look to use to hire, fire, reward, and recognize employees throughout our organization, right? When we decide that we are going to be a specific type of culture, so for example, I work for a company called EOS Worldwide. We have 5 core values. Our core, and this is how everybody has to operate in order to fit in. If you don't behave this way, if this is not the way you are, you're not really going to fit in, right? So we've got help first, do the right thing, do what you say, grow or die, and be humbly confident. Those are the 5 behaviors. And we're going to talk about what those mean. And I can tell stories and examples of what those things mean. But for somebody to fit in our organization, they have to share that. I always like to give an example of shuls, right? We've all been to a shul before. And if we were to break shuls up into 2 categories, you might have one shul is the type where there's a lot of talking and maybe people like to chat, you know, during davening every once in a while. And then you have the other type of shul where it's really, really quiet, where you could hear a pin drop, where if you like ask your friend what page you're on, they're throwing a box of tissues at you type of thing, right? So when we think about the types of shuls we want to go to and the people we want to surround ourselves, if I'm the type of person who likes a nice quiet davening with nobody disrupting me, if I go into the shul where there's a lot of talking, I might go there once or twice because I have a bar mitzvah there, but I don't think I'm really going to enjoy that experience. So I'm going to try to go to that shul that fits my core values more. And similarly, the person who wants to use the shul, no judgments on this whatsoever, to socialize with their friends and see all their buddies that they haven't seen all week and have a conversation. When they step into the shul where you can't talk at all, it's going to be very uncomfortable for them too. They're not going to feel comfortable there. So we're going to use our core values when we build our businesses to determine who fits in here, right? What do we want? If we were to think about our business as a bus, right, the big giant tour bus going someplace exciting, our core values, the people that behave this way are the people that we want on the bus with us. They're going to be the people who participate the best way in this party that we're having. They're the ones who are going to enjoy it the most and that we're going to enjoy surrounding ourselves with. So that's another way we can look at our core values. And when we think about how we come up with core values for a business, you see a whole bunch of examples there on the right side of the screen. So how do we decide what we want to be? So there's actually 3 filters that we can put this through. So when you sit with this document and you start to say, okay, these are the ways that we want to build our business and the behaviors that we want to instill and expect from our employees, we want to make sure first off that they're not permission to play. Anybody have an idea what permission to play means? Going once, going twice. Permission to play means it's a natural given that any company in the world is going to require this. Like, for example, honesty, right? Honesty is not really a core value. I would imagine most of the people on this call, raise your hand if you're the person who's not that way, but I would imagine most of the people here enjoy working with people who don't lie to them and don't steal from them, right? So we don't want to make honesty necessarily our core value, because then we're just basically saying we just want people here. There's nothing really specific about that. Our core values are about who we are as a business, not who everyone else is. So that's the first question we'll ask is this core value that we're maybe going to build our company around, is this permission to play? The second filter is something called aspirational core values, right? Let's say permission to play is honesty, but extreme honesty. Maybe that's something that's really unique to our business, where we're completely open and honest. And when there's a problem, we talk about it. And when there's a flaw, we share that with each other and we help each other grow in that way. So maybe that's a type of honesty that could be core to an organization. But when we think about what an aspirational core value is that if we're leaders, we can't put rules in place that we ourselves can't follow. So if I personally am not radically honest with people, like to the degree that we want to expect everybody else in the organization to be, we can't make that one of our core values either. Maybe at some point in time when I become that really super honest person, we could make that our core value. But today, that's only an aspirational core value. That's not who we are yet, right? And then the third filter that we're going to want to put them through is it an accidental core value, right? Is extreme honesty something that's going to help us get where we need to go? I very much might be that extremely honest person, and it might be what's gotten us to this point at a business, or myself to this point as a business. But if it's not going to help me get my business where it needs to go, we don't want that to be a core value either. So we want to take a break at some point in time and sit and think, what are these 3 to 7 characteristics that we want to build the culture for this organization around, right? And when we have people that share these core values, they're going to fit into this culture like a glove. And if we don't, then that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. It's going to be difficult to work with these people. It's going to be frustrating, right? Think about a fast-paced working environment versus a slow-paced working environment, right? If you've ever worked, if you're a fast-paced person, then you have somebody who works a little bit slow. Sometimes it's difficult to work with them, and the other way around, right? This guy moves too fast for me. We want to try to really build an intentional culture that we can rally our troops around. So that's the core values element. The second question that we get into is something called core focus, right? And when we talk about core focus, what we're trying to do here is eliminate all the distractions in our business, right? And the core focus is 2 parts, right? It's what's our purpose, our cause, our passion. What's the reason that this business exists? What's our why? And then the second part of the core focus is our niche. It's the specific product or service or offering that we provide in the marketplace. When you put these 2 things together, think about a baseball bat or a tennis racket or any other object that you use to hit something, right? The sweet spot is that big fat spot on the bat that when you square it up and you hit with the sweet spot, it's going to go further, straighter, faster than anybody else can hit it. So we want to really, really understand who we are as an organization by defining what these two things are. So when we think about what a purpose, what a cause can, passion can be, if you're a solopreneur especially, think about, as the leader of your organization, why did I start this business, right? It's got to be something beyond money, because it's got to be something that ultimately aligns everybody else in the organization. And if the whole purpose of this business is to make money, yes, we need to make money. That's the fuel that makes the engine go. But if the reason this business exists is solely to make money, guess what anybody who comes into your organization is going to want from you? Money. Right. And we want everybody to really, really be thinking about the purpose, right? It ignites passion. So people who are excited about that purpose are going to be passionate about the work that they're doing. And then there's a famous quote here that people don't lead, purposes do. When you have a purpose-driven organization, people who come into that organization know very clearly why they're there and what they need to do. There's some examples there of some purposes that other famous organizations have. I always like Disney to make people happy, right? And we'll get into the niche for a second. But when we talk about that core focus, what's that sweet spot for the organization? If the core values are what we're going to use to decide who gets on the bus, the core focus is the reason why they're getting on the bus, right? If they share that passion, that cause, they're going to want to do work with us. They're going to want to do that thing that we do, right? That purpose, that cause, that passion is why this business exists. The purpose could be something we want to achieve. The cause could be something that we want to fix. A passion is just something we love to do. I love helping entrepreneurs get what they want out of their business. That's why my business exists. We want to figure that out for ourselves. Why did I start this business? When we go to the second part, that's the niche, right? And there's a famous, and this is what the company does. I always like to say niches equals riches, right? When we're focused on doing the thing that we do, we're going to do a great job. When we start to do other things that we don't necessarily do, that's going to give us somewhat of a hard time. We're not going to be able to do these things. Our processes aren't necessarily geared towards doing these things, right? If we go back for a second and we think about, Apple computers, for example, right? They had a niche many, many years ago where they built personal computers. Their purpose was to help people think differently about technology. So the niche can evolve with time, right? We might take on new niches. We might try to do things because they used to do computers. Now they do whole much more, right? They're streaming music and movies and devices and cameras that turn into phones magically in your pocket and all those other things that Apple brings to the world. But when we take that why and we take that what and we put them together, like I said earlier, that's the sweet spot for our organization. Let me just go back one more second. The way that we can use this now is to eliminate distractions, right? So I'm going to give you a little bit of a story. In my previous experience, the last company I was in, it was a company called Pixify, and we built websites, right? And we wanted to help people, work with technology and have their technology work for them. And I don't even remember necessarily what the purpose was, but we were very, very specifically geared towards providing a specific solution for a specific technology. I don't know how much anybody knows about e-commerce, but there's Shopify, there's Magento, there's WooCommerce, there's BigCommerce, there's all these various platforms. When we started our business, we were extremely and hyper-focused on the Magento platform. And as we went further and further and deeper into market, people would come to us and say, hey, can you help me with my Shopify site also? In the beginning stages of that, when we would take that opportunity, we would say to ourselves, you know what, this isn't really our focus. But at the same time, we want to help these people. So let's give it a shot, knowing that it's not within our focus, knowing that there's some risk here, knowing for our customer's sake even that, hey, this isn't exactly what we do every day. Now, with time, as we started to do more and more of those types of things and gain more expertise and realize that we had a place in that Shopify market as well, we obviously changed what that niche was. So I want you all to think about when you're building the vision for your business, why did I start this business? What is it that I do today so that if anything else, any other opportunities come in into my four walls or my Daladamos of this business, so to speak, I want to know very clearly if that's a distraction, if that's outside of my focus, or it's exactly what I'm here to do. And when we have that level of clarity, again, we're going to focus on those things that we do better than everybody else. It's going to be that superior skill with the passion that we bring to the market. Now let's talk about our 10-year target. This now, I just want to clarify, actually can be anywhere from 5 to 30 years out. We call it the 10-year target because that's far enough out that people can't necessarily feel it. But when we think about that what that core target or that 10-year target is, it's actually the GPS coordinates for our business, right? So we're bringing a whole bunch of people who share our core values onto this bus. They're coming onto the bus because they share our passion, they're good at our niche, and they share that purpose with us. Where are we going? Ultimately, long term, It's the GPS coordinates. And on the right side of the screen, you can see a few examples, right? Nike, when they started their business, one of my favorite brands of all time, their target was to crush Adidas. They wanted to put Adidas out of business. This goal is never going to happen. It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. That's a Jim Collins concept, the BHAG, right? We want that big, hairy, audacious goal. And I got news for you. Every year, you're going to push this further and further and further out. But what that does is it gives context to all the decisions you're making in the short term. If in 10 years from now, in 30 years from now, we want to put a company, not Halavai, we don't put any small companies out of business. But if we're Nike and we want to put Adidas out of business, what are the things I need to do today to build that gap, to make that gap further and further between us, right? So this is long-term, big picture where we're going. And if we ever get distracted, if we ever go off path, this is going to be the thing that gets us centered. If you're getting on this bus and we're driving to California from New York, right? If I decide to make a right-hand turn halfway there and go up to North Dakota and see Mount Rushmore, I know exactly where I need to go to get back on track. That's going to keep us level. It's going to keep us grounded. It's going to keep us focused. It needs to be quantitative. It needs to be qualitative. And there's a concept up there called the SMART goal. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. We want to make sure that even if it was accomplishable, that it's something that's really, really specific. I don't want to just say be the biggest company we can be. I want to be specific about how big we're going to be. Right? Again, like I said, this is where the bus is going long term. And it's really what happens when we do a lot of our core focus. If we're really, really honed in on the purpose for this business and the thing that we do, right? When we do a lot of that in 10 years from now, this is where we're going to be, right? Elon Musk, I don't know if anybody saw, he was wearing a t-shirt the other night that said Occupy Mars, right? So he's thinking like 30, 50 years out into the future. But ultimately, Elon Musk wants to put cars on Mars that drive themselves. And every decision that Tesla makes in the meantime, and every decision that SpaceX takes in the short term, in the next year, in the next couple of years, is geared towards that bigger picture goal of occupying Mars. Make sense? Give me a thumbs up if you're getting what I'm saying, if you're on camera. Amazing. Awesome. Good. So let's move on to the next question, right? Because we're getting to some of the juicier stuff here. But right, we know who we want on the bus. We know why they're getting on the bus. We know where the bus is going long term. The next thing that we need to do is we need to figure out what's our marketing strategy. And I'm not talking about, for the digital marketers out there, we're not talking about how much we need to spend. We're not talking about what platforms we need to advertise on. And if we're doing email or social media, that's not what we're talking about here. There's no budgets involved here. Our marketing strategy is gaining clarity on who is our customer and what do we need to tell them to make them our customer, right? So our target market is the first part of our marketing strategy. We want to get very, very specific geographically, demographically, right? So again, the marketing strategy is who's our customer, what we're telling them. We have our target market. That's the first part. That's going to be the geographic location of our customers. Are they in North America? Are they in the United States? Are they in New York? Are they in New York and Florida? We want to get very, very specific so we're not marketing to people outside our service areas. We want to understand demographically who are customers. We want to get very specific of we only work with companies of X size or in this industry, right? If it doesn't make sense for me to talk with EOS, for example, we typically work with organizations between 10 and 250 employees. Now there's outliers. There's people who are below and above that threshold that we work with, but demographically 10 to 250 employees helps us target who I should be trying to speak with if I wanted to try to acquire new customers. And then more importantly than maybe those two things is psychographic. We want to understand for our target market, for our target customer, what's important to them. What are they looking to get out of our relationship? What value do they need to take out of this engagement? Usually that psychographic profile is actually going to line up really nicely with that purpose, right? If our purpose is to help entrepreneurs get what they want out of business, the psychographic profile for my customer is an entrepreneur who wants to get more out of their business, right? So they sync up really, really nicely. And we're going to put all this back together the last time we get together in week 4. So after we have that target market, the second part is what are our 3 uniques? What are the 3 things that you get from us that you won't get from our competitors? With EOS, you get vision, you get traction, you get healthy. There's going to be plenty of other systems and operating systems that will help you get clarity on your vision. Maybe some will also help you gain traction and execute, but they're not going to necessarily do it in a healthy way. Or some might do it with vision and health, but they don't help you execute, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to make sure that we're very, very clear and specific to our customer. Once we know who they are, why do you come to me and not to my biggest competitor? Right? The most famous three uniques maybe of our time are the 3 LFs from Southwest Airline. In the 90s, Southwest Airline was the largest commercial jet airline in the world, or at least in the United States. Maybe I'm getting confused, but they had 3 uniques, which were the 3 LFs. Low fares, lots of flights, lots of fun. Right? Plenty of other airlines have low fares, JetBlue, Spirit, Frontier. Plenty of other airlines have lots of fun. Go fly first class on El Al or Virgin to England or to Israel. I have more fun on that flight than having, like, you know, the funny jokes and the silly jokes that Southwest makes. And then there's a lot of other airlines that obviously have lots of flights. Delta, you know, United, name all the biggest, you know, the ones that travel all over. But Southwest is the only place you can go to get all three of those. So if we can take those three uniques and figure out what those are for our business, it's going to help us build a really compelling case against our competitors when we're talking to our prospects. The third part that we get into here of the marketing strategy is our proven process, which helps us demonstrate expertise and it sets expectations. I'm going to show you a proven process on the next slide. But if you can go into a meeting with a prospect of yours with a one-page sheet of paper that's very visually illustrated, very few words, but it's going to help them understand from the moment you sign that contract till the moment we take you through the end of that engagement or produce the product or service that you're looking for. These are the exact steps, the 3 to 7 steps, maybe the 6 to 10 steps that we're going to take you through, right? It's going to help your customer understand that you're not practicing on them, that this is what you do all the time, right? Within EOS, when we work with those types of target customers that we work with, we have a very specific process that we implement within an organization. And when I go into a meeting with an entrepreneurial organization and show them that, they realize very quickly that I kind of know what I'm doing and that there's a system for this. It's how we do what we do. And then the fourth part is the guarantee. It's the closer. It's the thing that takes all the risk out of the equation. Domino's Pizza built an empire in the 80s and 90s, over 30 minutes or it's free. That if you need pizza, you don't care what that pizza tastes like. You just want to get it fast. I want to make sure it comes in 30 minutes or less. And if I don't get it in 30 minutes or less, they're going to cover that for me, right? So we want to try to figure out, to the degree that we can within our business, what is our guarantee? That if I come with my proven process and I'm as unique as I think I am, but you're not seeing that, and you're my target customer and we don't deliver what we've promised you, what am I prepared to lose? What's the skin in the game that I have? Because what that ultimately does is it takes all the risk out of the equation and it makes that yes a lot easier, right? So when we think about the EOS process, this is something like what we would give to a prospect, right? We're going to start with this thing called the 90-minute meeting. We do a focus day. We go to vision building day 1, then we go to vision building day 2, and then we get you into this 90-day world. And this helps my customer, my potential customer, understand exactly what meetings we're going to have, when we're going to have them, so that they have a very, very clear expectation about what this engagement is going to look like. Right? So that's what a proven process is. So the fifth question on the vision page, right? We're still thinking far out, right? Our core values is who we want to be culture-wise. Our core focus is this is what we want to be when we're 100% focused on our niche, on the purpose and the passion, right? The 10-year target, that's where we're going to be in 10 years. The marketing strategy, when we're only working with the people that we're targeting, that's what our business is going to look like. Then we have our 3-year picture. If anyone here has ever taken a job, right? Has anyone here ever worked for somebody? Raise your hand if you'd like. You've worked for somebody before, for a company? Have you ever hired anybody to work for you? Right? So typically we'll ask a person in an interview, what's a famous question, right? Where do you see yourself in 3 years from now? Or maybe where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? Nobody really takes a job thinking, I'm going to be there for the rest of my life. Maybe they start a business thinking that, but very, very few people do that. So when we think about that 10-year target, yes, that is the GPS coordinates for the business. But driving to Alaska, I can't really feel what that's like, driving to California, so to speak, right? Nike crushing Adidas. What does that even look like? Adidas is still massive. They'll always be massive, right? So when we think about our 3-year picture, what this does for us is it's actually going to help us crystallize the vision of the company and make it a lot more real, right? It's actually taking that 10-year target and bringing it a lot closer to the ground than it was before. Right? It's going to consist of, if we go back to the page before, it's a future date, right? 3 years from now, what is this business going to be? What's our revenue? What's our profit? What's our measurables? Right? What are the other areas of the business that are going to say how big we are? How many employees are we going to be? How many locations are we going to have? How many offices are we going to have? How many customers are we going to have? What's our average product cost? What's our average job value? All of these things that are going to help you explain how big your company is in 3 years. We want to get them down there. And we also have this area of what does it look like? Right? So when you think about the 3-year picture, think about a puzzle. Think about if I walked into your office with a puzzle that looks exactly like what it says on the screen there, and I dumped all those pieces out, but I took the box with me. If you don't have that picture, if you don't have the cover for the puzzle, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to build that picture. Right? So we want to have this picture in our mind's eye so we have that cover to the box, right? The measurables are going to tell us how big we're going to be. The what does it look like is a description of the company. We're going to have cultural events. We're going to have only the best employees. We're going to be winning awards. We're going to be showcased at all of these shows, right? We could talk about all of the ways we're going to grow and how different that company is going to feel But ultimately, this is that inspiring and perfect picture of what we're working towards. And what it's going to ultimately allow us to do is enable better planning for the current year, right? If I know that in 3 years from now, we need to build this beautiful picture, it's going to be a lot clearer to me now. What are the next steps I need to take in the next year, in the here and now, right? When you build a puzzle, you don't just start building it haphazardly, right? You're going to divide and conquer. If you have multiple people, you'll have some people working on the corners and the edges, and then you'll fill it in. That's the plan, but you can't plan on it until you know what it's going to look like. So that's what we want to do with our 3-year picture. So that's our vision, right? That's all the stuff down the road, right? That's happening not in the here and now. When we get to the second page of the VTO, those last 3 questions, that's right now. Our 1-year plan, right? So we want to focus in on this 1-year plan, right? We already have that 3-year picture in our head that if in 10 years from now, I'm crushing Adidas, so this is where I need to be in 3 years from now to consider myself on track for that. Now I need to figure out, what do I need to do this year, right? And the reason why we want to set goals for the year, it's a great quote here. You usually hit what you aim for, and if you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time. That's a Zig Ziglar quote. And if you look at that little that graphic there, you see the sun, right? The sun is thousands and thousands and thousands of kilowatts of energy. But if you walk outside on a beautiful day like today, expose yourself to all that energy, what's the worst thing that's going to happen to you? You might get a little bit of a sunburn, right? Maybe you shouldn't do that every day, and you should wear sunscreen, and you might even be able to prevent that. But what happens if you take a magnifying glass and you hold that magnifying glass up to the sun? Somebody's got to know the answer to this question. Come on.
Creates fire.
You make a fire, you could burn a leaf. I used to do it with bugs when I was a kid. Don't tell anybody, right? So when you take all of that energy and you focus it in 1, 2, 3 directions, it's going to be a lot more powerful. That's how lasers are built. You're compressing light, and you can cut diamonds with a laser. So when we have that focus, when we're able to focus our energy and know what do we need to do this year to get this business where it needs to go, you're going to be able to really, really execute well. These are the first steps that we have in building that puzzle that is the 3-year picture. Right? We have our measurables. That's the progress towards that 3-year picture. So if in 3 years from now, I'm going to be a $100 million company, where do I need to be at the end of this year to be on track for that? Do I need to be a $1 million company, a $10 million company? We're going to make a prediction, right? We're going to have our revenue targets. We're going to have our profit targets. We're going to have all those measurables. How many locations, how many employees? We want to see where are we going to be at the end of this year? What are our goals there? But then we want to come up with what else must we do other than the measurables, right? We need to sell. We need to make profit. We need to have people. But we also want to determine what are our 3 to 7 goals, right? We're very good with these 3 to 7 things. So what must we do this year to paint that 3-year picture, right? We always like to say, if everything is a priority, nothing's a priority. If you're spreading your light and your energy in all those different directions, you're not going to be able to take it as far as that one singular focused direction. So we want to get really, really good at understanding what are the biggest priorities we have for this business this year, right? Larger organizations might actually have an alternate version of this traction page where they'll actually have each department, the sales department, the marketing department, the operations department, the finance department. They may even have their own departmental goals for the year that drive towards that 3-year picture, right? Those goals need to be smart, right? We need to know what done looks like. That means they need to be specific. They need to be measurable. They need to be attainable, relevant, and timely, right? So when we have that in our place, when we were able to predict, okay, 3 years, I'm building this picture. Now I know this year, these are all the things that I must do very, very specifically. Now we know what we're driving towards. Now we know what we need to do this current year, right? But it doesn't stop there, because if we start to work on these things right now, we're going to burn out. If anyone's ever taken a task, I have a year-long project. Usually after about 2-3 months, you're going to lose interest in that project. It's very, very hard to maintain that momentum. So the next question that we have, we talked about SMART, right? Let's actually go back to that point, right? What would be a bad version of a goal? We need a new office. A better way to do that, a good way to do that, would say open a new office, right? The better way is open a new office in Crown Heights, New York, and our old office is closed. But the smart way to write this, the specific, attainable, relevant, and timely way to write this goal out is that our new office in Crown Heights, New York is open with our entire team moved in and set up, and we are out of our old location lease. So when we get to December 31st, 2025, and we want to know, did we get this done? If these things all got done, then yeah, we hit our goal. But if we still are paying money on rent and we have not all our employees there, then maybe we didn't hit what we needed to do. So that's why it's really important to get smart. But then once we know what the goals for the year, we want to get into this 90-day world. And that's where rocks come in. It's a Stephen Covey concept, right? So rocks, when you look at it, we have a whole bunch of things we can do, right? That's the pebbles. Those are the moderately important tasks. The sand, those are the distractions, the things that are maybe unimportant at all. And then there's the big rocks. Those are the things that we need to do first. right? So if you look at the two ways you could fill that jar of capacity in a 90-day world, if you put the sand and the pebbles in first, you're not going to have enough room for those big rocks. But if you put the big rocks in first, then everything else is going to filter in around it, right? Those little pebbles will slide in through the cracks, and then the sand is going to slide in through the cracks. So the rocks are what we are focusing on in that 90-day world. Just like that one-year plan are the steps we're taking today to accomplish that 3-year picture, the rocks are what must get done in this quarter to consider that one-year plan on track. My goal for the year is to get out of this office. Q1 might be the quarter where I have to have at least 3 locations that are our finalists that I'm presenting to my team, right? If my goal is that I'm going to hire 10 people at the end of the year, Q1 better be about recruiting people or building the revenue stream and getting the cash flow to be able to pay them, right? So we want to figure out what must we do this year, in this next 90 days to keep our plan on track. We're going to set those same measurables. So if I'm going to be a $1 million company at the end of the year, by the end of this quarter, how much of that revenue do I need to recognize, right? We're going to come up with 3 to 7 company rocks, right? Where there's going to be an accountable owner who has to get those done. These are the 3 to 7 areas we're going to focus on. But again, you're also going to get to the point where every single individual, every single department has their 3 to 7 as well. Right? If these are the 3 to 7 company goals, what are the 3 to 7 things our sales team needs to do? What are the 3 to 7 things our marketing team needs to do? What are the 3 things our HR team needs to do, et cetera? And then finally, as we get to the conclusion here, we have our issues list. The issues list is the 8th question, and this is basically anything that's preventing us from accomplishing our vision. Anything that we need to come back to and discuss and figure out, any challenge we may have that's not covered within our 90-day plan or our 1-year plan or a 3-year plan, we want to get those down on our issues list because we know that when we solve these, we have built the business that we want. So that's why that's the very important 8th question on this VTO, right? When we talk about issues, we want to be able to solve those issues the right way. If you notice on the bottom, so how do we solve issues? We have something called IDS, which means identify, discuss, and solve, right? Issues aren't just problems. It's anything that requires a discussion, good or bad. They could be opportunities, ideas, challenges, questions. You have long-term issues that you're not going to deal with until your quarterly or annual planning sessions. But then you have your short-term issues that you're going to ultimately talk about in your weekly meetings, the things that might be keeping you from getting to your goals for the quarter. When you have that list of issues, you want to attack them this way, something called IDS. You identify, you prioritize the issues and get to the root of what the issue is. You have an open, honest discussion where we're not arguing with each other and get all the ideas on the table. And then to solve that issue, you agree on a plan. You figure out what are those action steps we're going to do to make that issue go away. That's the 8th question, right? So when we have those 8 questions answered, right, that's the first step in clarifying the vision for our business. The next part of that is something called shared by all. That's the second thing we need to do. And if we're a solopreneur, we need to share this with ourselves. But if we have other people in our organizations and we're setting the vision, we need to make sure that every single person in that organization feels like they are a part of that vision as well, that they're driving those goals forward, right? When we answer those 8 questions effectively and everyone in our organization knows what are our goals in the short term and in the long term and who we want to be, and they're behaving those core values, and we know who our customer is, and there's actual discourse and discussion happening around those, that's how we know we're 100% strong with our vision, right? That means we're going to have a speech. We're going to be able to describe what our core values are. We're going to do state of the company events so people understand what we're planning on doing. We're going to set rocks for everybody. We're going to have quarterly conversations with our people, not waiting till the end of the year to make sure we're aligned on that vision. We're going to be open. We're going to be honest. We're going to be vulnerable with each other. And when we do that, that's again how you get to that 100% strong part in the vision. So that's actually today's presentation. I'm good to stay on for another 15 minutes or so. I'm sure some of you might have to go. We started a little late and we did the
One
the
second.
intros,
So
but-
before Adam, before we sign off on this, just give a little taste. What's next week's class about?
So next week's class, we're going to talk about the right people in the right seats, right? It's going to be how are we going to build the organizations we want? How are we going to surround ourselves with awesome people who are really, really good at their jobs, right? So we're going to talk a lot more about that, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more interaction and talk about some of the horror stories that we have. And of course, any questions we have on today, I still want to do that. There is a QR on the screen. If anybody wants to scan that, it's also going to be in the handouts that we email out afterwards. I would love to get everybody's honest feedback about today. We're going to be back together next week. So if there's anything we can do to make next week even better, it's 5 quick questions. It shouldn't take you more than like 2 minutes to provide that feedback, but I would love to hear everybody's honest, open feedback. We'll keep it completely confidential. So definitely want to know how we did today. So please take care of that. And then there's a link there also that'll be there. And we're going to see you guys next week. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for another 15 minutes if anybody has any questions that you have on that. And then there's a QR there that you can scan to get my contact information. And if anybody wants to reach out to me tomorrow, the next day, I would love to help you privately. Like, I'm here to help you guys and coach you guys. So if you have questions that you can't ask today or something comes to you tomorrow, the next day, shoot me an email, give me a call, shoot me a text, WhatsApp. I'm more than glad to help you all. So thank you for giving me the time. And I hope that you guys are inspired by this. I hope you're taking it.